Hey BookTube, I am here this evening to film a book review, um, and please ignore my pajamas. It is like 9:30 at night when I'm filming this, so yeah, you're just going to get my cruddy old college shirt that I got at a thrift store. Oh well. So my book review is over a nonfiction book that I just finished yesterday, and that is Sisters and Rebels: A Struggle for the Soul of America by Jacqueline Dowd Hall. And I actually started reading this book on my state library app a few weekends ago when I was visiting my parents. And I enjoyed the first part of it so much that when I got back to my own home, I ordered a copy of it online. Because it's a fairly lengthy book and I wanted to take my time with it and have it for in the future. And so I've been reading through this and I've really, really loved it. It was a really good reading experience, and it's about a family that I had never heard of before. So Jacqueline Hall writes about the Lumpkin family, specifically focusing on the three sisters. And so there's Elizabeth, who is the oldest, and then Grace and Catherine. And they were born in the Deep South in around the early 1900s. And they come from a family of, I don't want to say white supremacists, but essentially, yes, their parents were slaveholders, and they were, racist, essentially. And so these three sisters, they take different paths. The oldest, Elizabeth, she follows in the way she was raised. She keeps the traditions of the South, and marries a Southern man, and continues on with the way that her parents sort of raised them. However, Grace and Catherine take vastly different trajectories. They end up leaving the South and seeing how what they were taught when they were raised, how, wrong it is. And so you follow them as they grow up, like they go to college and they get jobs and all of this, and see the work that they do in order to try to improve the stance of people of color, and also for women at the time, and also trying to improve people of, lower income. And so Catherine is essentially a scholar. She works for a lot of universities. She also has a stint where she works for the YWCA. And then Grace becomes an author. She writes books that are about her experiences in the South, and then also sort of critiquing that way of life. And so you see these sisters take these vastly different trajectories in life, and how that both brings them closer together and also tears them apart. And a lot of things happen over the course of history in this book. So of course you have the Cold War that happens as they get older. And so there's all of the fallout from the Cold War, and, the issues of communism, and Catherine and Grace both at one point in time sort of identified as communists, and so they ended up being on kind of a watch list for being communists and things. And so you follow them as they go through, these various points in history, and also deal with their relationships, both with their family and with friends and colleagues and lovers. And Catherine forms a really close friendship with another woman that she works with at one of the colleges that she teaches at. And they are never sure if this relationship was of like an intimate sexual nature. They don't think it was. But you see how all those different things play into the lives of these three sisters, and how they are affected by what is happening around them, just like anybody, is at any point in their life. And so I really love this book because I had never heard about the Lumpkin sisters prior to reading about them. I just thought this sounded interesting when I saw it on my library app and, started reading it and was like completely absorbed in their story. And the author, Jacqueline, she actually interviewed, I don't think she ever interviewed Elizabeth, but she interviewed Grace and Catherine. And so she does a lot of extensive research, both looking at their papers and the things that they wrote, and then also with the interviews and, documents from the family and stuff. She put together this book, which I think is a fascinating piece of history on so many levels, because not only do you learn about these sisters who were raised in the Deep South and have these notions at first of, that whites are the better race, and that, their father, or they had, I don't remember if their dad actually owned slaves or not. I don't think he ever actually did. But their mother came from a family that had a plantation and had slaves. And so you see them come to terms with their background in different ways. Now, of course, like I said, Elizabeth doesn't ever really branch out from that background. She sort of sticks with the old ways. But you see Grace and Catherine start to realize that the way they were raised was not, the way they want to continue to live their lives. And so they used that as a catalyst to do all of these other things. And so, like I said, I feel like it provides a really good commentary on the fact that people can change. They can come from a place where the views are not good and change and become better people and use their background to help others learn, right? Or to help others see that things can be different. And I feel like Grace and Catherine both did that. And yeah, they met a lot of adversity along the way. Some of that stemmed from their gender, of course, because at this point in time, women were still very much looked down upon as, not being fit to teach at a university or any of those kinds of things. So they fought a lot of battles. But at the same time, they also, I feel like, were able to do a lot of good through the work that they did and the things that they wrote, because they were able to use their background and their family history to give people a lesson in morality and in how you should treat others, and why, the South is not an ideal place. So, yeah, this was a really good read, a very fascinating read. Like I said, I had never heard of the Lumpkin sisters prior to this, or the Lumpkin family, but I feel like they are people in history that, if you don't know about them, might not hurt to look into them. Grace actually wrote several books when she was alive. I don't know if any of them are still in publication or not. I haven't looked into that. But, yeah, this is just fascinating history, fascinating look at these women and the various paths that they take. And I feel like it's an important read for today, even though it takes place, back in the early 1900s through, the 1950s-ish. You gain a lot from it, because you see how they take different paths and how they learn from their past. And I think that's an important lesson that we can all take away from this book, that things can change and that we can rise up and use our experiences to help others learn and change their prejudices. So I would highly recommend this book. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. Let me know if you've read this book or if you've heard of the Lumpkin Sisters or if you would like to read this book, because I highly encourage everyone to do so. Thank you for watching my book review, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye, BookTube.